Forklift start at 0530. That's the sound I wake up to now. Not an alarm, just the beeping backup signals and hydraulic whine from the distribution yard. Been sleeping in my office at the guard depot for 6 days. 7. The cot's a piece of shit. Same one we had in the motor pool back in 2009. Springs poking through. I'm too old for this. 47. Lieutenant Colonel. Logistics Battalion Commander for the Alabama National Guard's 143rd Sustainment Brigade. I fix supply chains for a living. Food, water, fuel, medical supplies, the boring stuff that keeps an army functioning. 23 years doing this. Never fired a weapon outside of qualifications. My whole career is Excel spreadsheets and pallet counts and making sure the toilet paper gets where it needs to go. Right now, that's 600,000 displaced civilians across the Gulf Coast. Hurricane Felix made landfall 9 days ago. Cat 5 took out the desalination plants from Biloxi to Pensacola. FEMA's got us running emergency water distribution out of every guard armory, municipal stadium, and Walmart parking lot from here to the Florida line. We're moving 40,000 pallets of bottled water daily. Dasani, Aquafina, whatever the procurement guys could grab. No, wait, that's wrong. Not commercial bottles. These are military reserve stocks. The big 5-gallon jugs with NSN numbers stamped on the caps. National stock numbers. Everything the military owns has one. I'm staring at a pallet of them right now through my office window. Shrink-wrapped, stacked 8 feet high. Delivered yesterday from the regional FEMA warehouse in Montgomery. Each jug has a label. Potable water, emergency use. Inspected August 2024. That's last month. Fresh stock. My phone buzzes. Text from my mother. She types like she's sending a telegram. All caps. No punctuation. Waiting for water truck, they said 0800 ITS 0600. Now people lining up already. She's 72. In a FEMA shelter at the old Brookley Field hangar in Mobile. Used to be her house. My childhood house. The one with the live oak in the front yard that I climbed when I was 8. But the storm surge put 4 feet of contaminated seawater through the first floor. Salt water. Everything corroded. The National Guard evacuated her subdivision 3 days ago. 2,000 people in that shelter now. No running water. No power except generators. We're doing twice daily water drops, morning and evening. I text back. On schedule. Convoy leaves 0700. You'll have water by 0830. She sends back a thumbs up emoji. Took her 3 years to learn how to do that. I showed her during Christmas 2022. She was so proud. Kept sending them randomly. Thumbs up to grocery lists. Thumbs up when I told her my divorce was finalized. The convoy manifest is on my desk. I should have reviewed it last night, but I didn't. Too tired. Drank 3 Miller Lights from the break room fridge and passed out by 2200. Now I'm looking at the paperwork with my second cup of coffee. Folgers, tastes like transmission fluid, but it's hot. And signing off on 18 pallets of water going to Brookley Field. Each pallet, 48 jugs. Each jug, 5 gallons. That's 4,320 gallons per convoy. Covers 2,000 people for 1 day at barely over 2 gallons per person. That's below the recommended 3 gallons per person per day in heat conditions. But it's what we can move. Math I do in my sleep now. Water weight, fuel consumption, transport time. The numbers work, barely. Specialist Ortiz knocks on my door frame. 23 years old, skinny, from Birmingham. Been with the unit 18 months. Good kid. Handles the vehicle dispatch logs. Sir, first convoy staged. Sergeant Pruitt wants to roll early. Beat the heat. I don't look up from the manifest. Tell him 0700. Schedules the schedule. Yes, sir. He doesn't leave. I look up. Something else. Some of the guys were asking about the water, where it's coming from. Montgomery Depot. Same as yesterday. Why? He shifts his weight. Just, someone said the bottles look different. Old labels, maybe? I lean back. The office chair creaks. It's a 20-year-old piece of government furniture, olive drab metal, the kind that probably gave someone back problems in Vietnam. They're reserve stocks, Ortiz. That's what emergency means. We use what we've got. The labels say inspected August 2024. That's last month. Any other questions? No, sir. Good. Tell Pruitt 0700. He leaves. I go back to the manifest. Sign my name at the bottom. LTC Joseph Haverstick, 143rd Sustainment Brigade. Terrible signature. Looks like a drunk spider. My ex-wife used to tease me about it. Said I signed important documents like I was scribbling grocery lists. The forklifts are louder now. I can see them through the window, moving pallets from the warehouse to the staging area. 5 tons and LMTVs lined up, their exhaust making the morning air shimmer. Sergeant Pruitt's out there, clipboard in hand, checking tie-downs. He's regular Army, not Guard. Did 3 tours in Iraq, 2 in Afghanistan. Volunteered for this hurricane response because his wife's family is from Mobil. He knows logistics, doesn't ask stupid questions. My phone buzzes again. Different number. Area code 334. That's Montgomery. I answer. Haverstick. Joe, it's Colonel Brenneman. You got a second? Brenneman, State Logistics Coordinator. My direct superior. We went to West Point together. No, that's wrong. We went through Logistics Officer Basic together at Fort Lee in 2002. He got promoted faster. Better at the political side. I'm better at the spreadsheets. Sir, what's up? Just checking in. How's the mobile operation running? On schedule. 40,000 gallons moving today. 6 distribution points. Should have full coverage by 1800. Good, good. Listen, I'm getting some questions from the FEMA regional office about our water sourcing. They want documentation on the reserve stock quality. I look at the pallet through my window. The shrink wrap is tight, professional. The labels are clean. Everything's got current inspection stamps. Montgomery Depot certified the whole batch. What's the question? No question, really. Just make sure your people are logging consumption rates. FEMA wants to show the water's being used efficiently. Public perception thing. You know how it is. Yeah. I don't know what he's talking about, but I say yeah anyway. That's how you handle colonels. We're logging everything. Perfect. Keep up the good work, Joe. This is the kind of operation that gets people noticed. Promotion boards coming up in January. He hangs up. I stare at my phone. Promotion board. I don't want to be a full colonel. I want to go back to my apartment in Tuscaloosa and sleep in my own bed and not think about water pallets for 6 months. But my mother's at Brookley Field, waiting for water I'm about to send her. So I sign another manifest. And another. 6 convoys scheduled today. Brookley Field, Gulf State Park, the Mobile Civic Center, 2 high schools, and a church parking lot in Bayou La Batterie where the shrimping fleet used to dock. The labels all say inspected August 2024. I trust labels. That's my job. Trust the system. Trust the paperwork. Trust that someone at the Montgomery Depot did their job same as I'm doing mine. Outside, Sergeant Pruitt waves. First convoy's ready. Right on time. I wave back. My mother's going to get her water by 0830. Everything's going according to plan. First call comes in at 11:47. I'm in the warehouse doing pallet counts, physical inventory, not just trusting the database because the database has been wrong 3 times this week. When Specialist Ortiz finds me, he's walking fast, not running. We don't run in logistics unless something's on fire. Sir, Sergeant Pruitt's on the radio. Brookley Field Distribution. I follow him to the communications tent. It's 96 degrees outside. Feels like 110 with the humidity. Inside the tent, it's worse. The AC unit died yesterday. We've got 3 box fans running off a generator just pushing hot air around. Pruitt's voice comes through scratchy on the sinkers. Medical personnel requesting guidance on hydration protocols. Multiple heat casualties. How copy? Over. I take the handset. Haverstick. What's the situation? Sir, we've got maybe 30-40 people with heat-related symptoms. Medics are saying excessive thirst, muscle cramping, nosebleeds. Heavy nosebleeds, sir. Some people can't get them to stop. I watched a woman, maybe 60 years old, bleeding from both nostrils for 10 minutes straight. Medics had to pack her nose. They're treating it as heat exhaustion, but static. asking if we can increase water rations. I look at Ortiz. He's already pulling up the distribution schedule on a laptop that's held together with 100-mile-an-hour tape and optimism. Current ration is 2.16 gallons per person per day. I say into the handset, that's below optimal, but it's what we can move. Tell the medics to have people rest in shade. Avoid exertion. We've got the evening drop scheduled for 1800. Can they hold until then? Pause. Background noise. Pruitt talking to someone off radio. Roger, sir. They can hold. Medics say symptoms are consistent with heat stress. Nothing unusual for the conditions. Brookley Field, out. I hang up the handset, wipe sweat off my forehead with my sleeve. Ortiz is staring at his laptop screen. Sir, the temperature at Brookley is only 89. That's cooler than here. People are stressed, displaced. Elderly population, kids. Not everyone's healthy to begin with. I'm saying this, but I'm thinking about my mother. 72. High blood pressure. Takes 3 medications. Lisinopril, atorvastatin, something else I can't remember. She showed me the bottles last Christmas, but I wasn't paying attention. I pull out my phone. Text her. How are you doing? Heard some people having heat issues. She responds fast. I am fine. Water tastes funny, but they say it's because of the jugs. Plastic taste. Drinking plenty. My lips are so dry though. Keep cracking. I stare at that. Water tastes funny. Lips cracking. Ortiz is talking. 3 other sites reporting similar symptoms. Not as many people, but the medics are seeing the same pattern. Thirst, cramping, nosebleeds. One report says a man's lips were bleeding. Just split open from dryness. Which sites? He checks his screen. Gulf State Park, the Mobile Civic Center, and hold on, the church parking lot in Bayou La Batterie. All morning distributions. All received water from the same Montgomery batch. I walk over, look at his laptop. He's got a spreadsheet open, color-coded by distribution site and time. Green for completed drops, yellow for in progress, red for any reported issues. Normally everything's green. Right now I'm seeing yellow flags on 4 sites. All morning drops, all Montgomery water. Pull up the batch numbers, I say. He clicks around, squints at the screen. Batch MB 08-2024-7733. That's the entire shipment we received yesterday. All 40 pallets. And what did we send this morning? 18 pallets. That leaves 22 in the warehouse for evening distributions. I do the math in my head. 18 pallets, 48 jugs per pallet, 5 gallons per jug. That's 4,320 gallons we sent out this morning. Another 5,280 gallons scheduled for this evening. Just under 10,000 gallons of water from the same batch. My phone buzzes. Text from my mother. People keep asking for more water. Some are drinking 3 or 4 jugs. Guards saying we have to ration, but everyone's so thirsty. I text back, don't overdrink. Rest in shade. Evening drop at 1800. She sends a thumbs up. I turn to Ortiz. Get me the Montgomery Depot on the phone. I want to talk to whoever certified this batch. Yes, sir. While he's dialing, I walk outside. Need air even if it's hot air. The warehouse yard is full of pallets. Shrink-wrap towers of water jugs, all with the same label. Potable water emergency use. Inspected August 2024. Batch MB 08-2024-7733. Sergeant Pruitt's convoy is rolling back in through the gate. 5 trucks, empty flatbeds, drivers looking exhausted. Pruitt climbs out of the lead vehicle, sees me, walks over. Sir, that was weird. Define weird. The crowd at Brookley, they were aggressive. Not violent, just desperate. Fighting over the jugs. We had to post extra security at the distribution point because people were trying to take more than their share. He pulls off his Kevlar helmet, wipes his forehead. I've done aid distributions in Iraq, Afghanistan. This felt different. People were acting like they hadn't had water in days. But we dropped water there yesterday evening. Less than 24 hours ago. Heat stress, I say. Makes people irrational. Maybe. He doesn't sound convinced. Also, the water. I opened one of the jugs, tried it myself. Tastes off. Salty, almost. Like someone dumped a teaspoon of salt in it. I look at him. Salty. Yeah, not bad, just noticeable. Pruitt pulls a small notebook from his pocket. Flips it open. I logged it. Batch number MB 08-2024-7733. Thought you should know. Ortiz comes out of the communications tent. Sir, Montgomery Depot on line 2. I leave Pruitt and go back inside. Pick up the field phone. This is LTC Haverstick 143rd Sustainment Brigade. I need to speak with whoever's in charge of water quality certification. The voice on the other end is civilian. Contractor, probably. That would be Mr. Henson. He's in a meeting right now. Can I take a message? No. Get him out of the meeting. I've got 4 distribution sites reporting issues with batch MB 08-2024-7733. I need verification on the quality inspection. Pause. Keyboard clicking. Sir, I'm showing that batch was inspected and certified on August 19th. Passed all standards. Salinity, bacterial count, pH levels, all within acceptable ranges. What were the salinity levels? More clicking. Parts per million, 247. That's well below the 500 ppm threshold for potable water. I write this down on a notepad that's probably been sitting on this desk since the first Gulf War. 247 ppm. That's barely salty at all. Tap water in some cities is higher than that. And when was the water originally processed? Let me check the source documentation. Long pause. Okay, this batch came from the Gulfport desalination plant. Processed July 2023. Stored in climate-controlled warehouse conditions. Inspected every 90 days per protocol. Most recent inspection August 19, 2024. Everything's clean, sir. July 2023. That's 13 months ago. Water in sealed containers, climate-controlled. That's fine. That's normal for emergency reserves. Who conducted the August inspection? Mr. Henson. Same as I said. You want me to leave him a message to call you back? Yes. Priority. Tell him I need detailed lab reports, not just the certification summary. Will do, sir. I hang up. Ortiz is watching me. What are you thinking? He asks. I'm thinking people are scared and stressed and seeing problems that aren't there. But I'm also thinking about my mother saying the water tastes funny. About Pruitt saying it tastes salty. About 30 people at Brookley Field with nosebleeds and muscle cramps. I pull up my phone. Search for high salt water consumption symptoms. The results come back. Excessive thirst, dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, muscle cramping, nosebleeds, kidney stress. I stare at that. Then the radio in the tent crackles. Emergency broadcast system. I hear it through the open flap. This is the Alabama Emergency Management Agency with an update for Mobile and Baldwin counties. Due to ongoing heat conditions and infrastructure strain, residents are advised to conserve water. Limit consumption to essential needs only. Avoid strenuous outdoor activity. Cooling centers remain open at. Ortiz looks at me. Sir, that's contradictory. We're telling people to drink more water. They're telling people to conserve. Different agencies, different information. But I'm thinking about why FEMA would tell people to conserve water during a distribution operation. Unless they're worried about supply, or unless they know something. I walk out to the warehouse, find the nearest pallet of water. The still shrink-wrapped, pristine. I pull out my Gerber multi-tool, had it since Fort Lee 2002, best $30 I ever spent, and cut through the plastic. Grab one of the 5-gallon jugs. Break the seal. Pour some into a plastic cup that's been sitting on a shelf. Ortiz follows me. Sir, I smell the water first. Nothing. Looks clear. I take a sip. Tastes like plastic. And underneath that, something else. Mineral Y. Slightly metallic. I take another sip. Bigger one. Yeah. There's salt in this. Not a lot. Not enough to gag on. but it's there. More than 247 ppm should taste like. Ortiz, do we have any water testing equipment here? Just pH strips. We're not set up for salinity testing. I pour more water. Drink it. My throat feels dry afterwards. Not refreshed. Dry. Get me the phone number for the FEMA Regional Medical Coordinator and find out where the nearest lab is that can do water quality testing. Real testing, not just field strips. Yes, sir. My phone buzzes. Text from my mother. Feeling dizzy. Probably just the heat. Drinking more water. I text back immediately. Stop drinking the water. Wait for evening drop. But as I hit send, I realize the evening drop is the same water. Same batch. Same 22 pallets sitting in my warehouse right now. Ortiz comes back. Sir, FEMA Medical Coordinator is Dr. Ranjit Patel. He's out of Atlanta, but he's got a field team in Mobile. Want me to get him on the phone? Yeah, now. While he's dialing, I look at the pallet in front of me. 47 jugs left on this one. 18 pallets already distributed this morning. 22 pallets scheduled for evening. Plus whatever pallets went out yesterday. And the day before that. All the same batch. All inspected and certified by Mr. Henson at the Montgomery Depot on August 19th. All labeled potable water emergency use. And all of it tastes like salt. Dr. Patel calls me back at 1340. Colonel Haverstick, I understand you have concerns about the water supply. I'm standing in my office with the door closed. Ortiz is outside coordinating the evening convoys. Through the window, I can see soldiers loading pallets onto trucks. Same pallets, same water. We've got 4 distribution sites with similar symptoms. Excessive thirst, muscle cramping, nosebleeds. All sites received water from batch MB 08-2024-7733 this morning. The water tastes salty, more than it should. What's the reported salinity level? Montgomery Depot certified it at 247 parts per million. That's their number. I don't have independent testing. Pause. 247 is well within safe limits. Colonel, we're dealing with a displaced population in extreme heat. The symptoms you're describing are consistent with stress-induced dehydration and heat exhaustion. People aren't drinking enough water, not the opposite. My sergeant says people at Brookley Field were fighting over water, acting desperate. We distributed there less than 24 hours ago. Fear behavior. They're rationing because they're afraid we'll run out. Creates a psychological cycle. The more they ration, the more dehydrated they become, the more desperate they act. He sounds like he's reading from a textbook. Maybe he is. The best response is to maintain steady distribution and reassure people that supply is consistent. I look at the pallet counts on my desk. We've got enough water in Montgomery reserves to last maybe 4 more days at current consumption rates. After that, we're waiting on federal shipments that are stuck somewhere in Tennessee because of flooding on I-65. Doctor, what would symptoms look like if the water salinity was higher than certified? Significantly higher. Another pause. Longer. You'd see hypernatremia, elevated sodium levels in the blood. Initial symptoms would be thirst, weakness, confusion. Advanced cases would show seizures, coma, death. But Colonel, that would require salinity levels above 3,000 parts per million. That's, you'd taste it immediately. The water would be undrinkable. What about moderate elevation? Say 800, 1,000 ppm. Still below seawater levels. You might see increased thirst, mild electrolyte imbalance, but nothing acute. Nothing that would present at the scale you're describing. He's getting impatient. I can hear it in his voice. Colonel, I've got a field hospital requesting supplies and 3 other guard commanders waiting to talk to me. Unless you have actual lab results showing contamination, I need to move on. I'm getting lab results. Mobile testing facility. Should have numbers by 1700. Good. Send them to me when you do. If there's a real problem, we'll address it. But right now, my medical opinion is that you're seeing stress responses, not water quality issues. Keep the distributions running. Keep people hydrated. That's the best thing you can do. He hangs up. I sit down. The office chair creaks. I've been sitting in this chair for 6 days and it sounds worse every time. My phone buzzes. Text from my mother. Can't stop being thirsty. Drank 2 jugs already. Is that normal? 2 jugs. 10 gallons. I check the time. Less than 6 hours since the morning distribution. I call her. She answers on the 3rd ring. Joey. Nobody calls me Joey except her. Mom, how are you feeling? Oh, I'm fine. Just thirsty. Everyone here is thirsty. They keep telling us to drink more water, but it doesn't help. Makes me feel worse, almost more thirsty after I drink. What do you mean, worse? I don't know. Dizzy. My head hurts. Mrs. Torres, from the church group. She had a nosebleed this morning. Bad one. They took her to the medical tent. Mrs. Torres. I don't know her, but I know she drank water from batch MB 08-2024-7733. Mom, I need you to stop drinking the water from the jugs. Can you do that? Silence. Then, Joey, they said we have to stay hydrated. It's 89 degrees in here. The fans aren't working right. I know. Just wait until this evening. We're sending fresh water at 1800. But it's not fresh water. It's the same batch. Same 22 pallets. Okay, if you think so. She sounds uncertain, scared. Joey, is something wrong with the water? I should tell her yes. I should tell her to stop drinking it and to tell everyone else to stop drinking it. But I don't have lab results. I don't have proof. I have a taste test and some symptoms that could be heat stress and a FEMA doctor telling me I'm overreacting. Just stay cool, Mom. Rest. I'll call you when the evening convoy leaves. Okay, honey. Love you. Her voice cracks. My throat hurts. It's so dry. Like sandpaper. Love you too. I hang up. Stare at my phone. Ortiz knocks. Opens the door. Sir, we've got a problem. What kind of problem? Bayou La Battery site. They just called. 3 people collapsed during distribution. Medics are transporting them to the hospital. One of them, he checks his notepad. 56-year-old male. He was drinking water when he went down. Started seizing. His back arched. Medic said every muscle in his body locked up at once. They heard something snap. Maybe ribs, maybe spine. He was still conscious, still seizing when they loaded him. Eyes rolled back. Blood coming from his mouth where he bit through his tongue. They're calling it heat stroke, but the ambient temperature there is only 87. I stand up. What's the latest from the mobile testing lab? They said they can run salinity, pH, and bacterial testing, but it'll take 3 hours minimum. I sent a sample over at 1300. Results by 1600, maybe 1630. Evening convoys are scheduled to roll at 1630. 6 sites, 22 pallets, 5,280 gallons. If the water is contaminated, we're about to make it worse. If the water is fine, we're about to let people die of dehydration because I stopped distribution over a paranoid hunch. Ortiz comes back in. Sir, I just got a call from Brookley Field. They're requesting hazmat assessment teams. Captain Reeves says the symptoms are escalating beyond standard heat casualties. Hazmat? For what? He didn't specify, just said medical is overwhelmed and they need specialized containment protocols. I stare at him. Hazmat, containment protocols. Those words don't belong in a water distribution operation. Tell them, I stop. Tell them what? We don't have hazmat teams on standby. That's CDC. That's FEMA's Chemical Response Division. That's not National Guard logistics. Sir, tell them I'm working on it. I'll coordinate with FEMA. He leaves. I'm still holding the lab report. 3,847 ppm. Hazmat teams. Containment protocols. My phone rings. Unknown number. 334 area code. Montgomery. I answer. Haverstick. Colonel, this is Dale Henson, Montgomery Depot. I got a message you wanted to talk about batch MB 08-2024-7733. Finally. Yes, I need detailed lab reports on that batch. Not just certification summary. Actual numbers. Sure. Let me pull it up. Keyboard clicking. Okay. Inspection conducted August 19th. Salinity 247 ppm. pH 7.2. Bacterial count 0. Turbidity within standards. All green across the board. Where was the water stored between processing and inspection? Gulfport facility. Climate-controlled warehouse. Same place we've been using for 3 years. And the Gulfport desalination plant? When did it go offline? Pause. After Hurricane Felix. So that would be 9 days ago. Why? Because I'm trying to figure out if something could have compromised the water between processing in July 2023 and inspection in August 2024. Longer pause. Colonel, that's 13 months of storage. The water's in sealed containers. 5-gallon jugs, food-grade plastic, tamper-evident caps. There's no contamination pathway. What about the desalination process itself? Could something have gone wrong during processing that wouldn't show up for months? Not that I can think of. Desalination removes salt from seawater. That's the whole point. We can't add salt by accident. He sounds defensive now. Look, I inspected this batch myself. Personally. Tested multiple samples. Everything was within standards. I certified it and I stand by that certification. Okay, can you send me the detailed lab reports? PDFs, whatever you have. Yeah, give me your email. I give it to him. He says he'll send the files within the hour. I hang up, walk to the window. The warehouse yard is organized chaos. Forklifts moving, soldiers checking tie-downs, drivers starting engines. Routine. Everything according to procedure. Ortiz appears next to me. Sir, Colonel Brenneman is on line 1. Says it's urgent. I pick up the field phone. Hey Verstick. Joe, what the hell is going on? Brenneman's voice is tight, angry. I just got a call from FEMA region for asking why you're questioning the water supply and running unauthorized tests. I'm not. How did they know about the tests? Dr. Patel reported it. He said you're creating panic over routine heat stress symptoms. He's concerned you're about to halt distribution over unsubstantiated concerns. I can feel my jaw clenching. Sir, I've got 4 sites with similar symptoms, all from the same water batch, all presenting with signs consistent with elevated sodium intake. I'm running 1 lab test to verify salinity levels. That's not panic, that's due diligence. Joe, we've got 600,000 people depending on this water. If you stop distribution and you're wrong, people will die. Actually die. From dehydration. Do you understand that? Yes, sir. Good. Because I'm getting pressure from above to keep operations running smoothly. The governor's office is watching this. FEMA's watching this. CNN is watching this. We cannot afford to look incompetent right now. I understand, sir. I'm waiting for lab results. If they come back clean, we proceed as planned. If they don't, you call me before you do anything. Before you halt distribution, before you issue any warnings, before you breathe wrong. Clear? Clear. He hangs up. The emergency broadcast system activates again. I hear it from 3 radios simultaneously across the depot, the communications tent, the break room, someone's truck. Attention Mobile and Baldwin County residents in FEMA emergency shelters. Continue to stay hydrated during extreme heat conditions. Water distribution will continue on schedule. Drink regularly to avoid heat-related illness. If you experience excessive thirst, muscle cramping, or dizziness, please report to medical personnel. This message will repeat. I stand there listening. Continue to stay hydrated. Drink regularly, but also conserve water. Limit consumption. The messages contradict each other. One from Alabama EMA telling people to conserve. One from FEMA telling people to drink regularly. Nobody coordinating. Nobody acknowledging the contradiction. And underneath both messages, continue distribution as scheduled. I stand there holding the dead phone. Ortiz is watching me. What do we do, sir? I look at the convoys. They're almost loaded. Drivers waiting for the order to roll. Then I look at my phone. My mother's last text is still on the screen. Can't stop being thirsty. We wait for the lab results. I say, And we get ready to move fast when they come in. What if they come in after 16:30, after the convoys leave? Then 22 more pallets of water go out to 6 distribution sites, including Brookley Field, where my mother is drinking jug after jug and getting more thirsty. We'll deal with that if it happens. But I'm thinking about the choice I'm going to have to make. If the water is contaminated and I stop distribution, thousands of people will panic. They'll riot. They'll dehydrate. Some will die. If the water is contaminated and I don't stop distribution, thousands of people will keep drinking poison. And some will die. Either way, people die. And my mother is at Brookley Field, trusting me to keep her safe. I check my watch. 14:22. 2 hours and 8 minutes until the evening convoys roll. The lab results better come back clean, because if they don't, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. The lab results come in at 16:18. Ortiz brings me the printed report. His hand is shaking. I read the numbers. Salinity, 3,847 parts per million. pH, 8.9, highly alkaline. Bacterial count, elevated halophilic bacteria consistent with hypersaline contamination. Notes: sample contains salt concentration approximately 7.7 times the safe drinking water threshold. Prolonged consumption would result in severe hypernatremia, organ stress, vascular damage. Water is not safe for human consumption. I read it twice, 3 times. 3,847 ppm. The Montgomery Depot certified it at 247 ppm 3 weeks ago. Either their test was wrong or something happened to the water after August 19th. But the jugs are sealed. Tamper-evident caps. No contamination pathway, unless the desalination plant failed. Unless the reverse osmosis membranes were damaged before Hurricane Felix hit and nobody noticed. Unless every jug processed in July 2023 was contaminated from the start and Montgomery's inspection in August 2024 was... I don't finish that thought. Ortiz is staring at me. Sir, the convoys are scheduled to roll in 12 minutes. I look at my watch. 16:18. Convoy departure time, 16:30. 22 pallets, 6 distribution sites, 5,280 gallons, including Brookley Field. I grab the field phone, dial Montgomery. It rings 6 times, goes to voicemail. I try Henson's direct number. Same thing, voicemail. I try Colonel Brenneman. He answers on the first ring. Joe, what? Sir, I have lab results. The water is contaminated. Salinity at 3,847 parts per million. That's nearly 8 times the safe limit. We need to halt all distributions immediately and recall every pallet that's already been delivered. Silence. The emergency broadcast system crackles to life again. This time it's coming from the radio in my office. This is a priority message from FEMA Region 4 Emergency Operations. All distribution sites. Maintain current supply schedules. Do not alter delivery timelines. Water supply is certified safe for consumption. Repeat. Maintain current schedules. Any concerns should be directed through official channels only. Do not. The message cuts off. Someone turn down the volume. Brenneman's voice comes back. 1 test, Joe. You're going to shut down 600,000 people's water supply based on 1 test from 1 sample. Mobile Regional Medical Laboratory. They're certified by 1 test, Joe. You're going to shut down 600,000 people's water supply based on 1 test from 1 sample. Sir, the symptoms match. Hypernatremia presents exactly like what we're seeing. Excessive thirst, dehydration despite fluid intake, nosebleeds, seizures. We've got 3 people in the hospital right now. 3 people out of tens of thousands who've consumed this water over the past 3 days. That's not a contamination pattern. That's statistical noise. His voice is sharp. Command voice. Joe, listen to me. If you halt distribution right now, we'll have riots by nightfall. We'll have mass panic. People will storm the distribution sites. They'll hijack the convoys. We'll have violence and chaos and actual bodies in the street. Sir, if we don't halt distribution, we'll have bodies anyway. The water is poisoning them. According to one test, get a second opinion. Get 3 more labs to verify. But do not, I repeat, do not stop the convoys without multiple confirmed results and approval from FEMA Region 4. That could take days. People are drinking this water right now. Then issue a consumption advisory. Tell people to limit intake to 1 gallon per day. Tell them to rest, stay cool, avoid exertion, but keep the distribution running. Joe, this is not a request. This is a direct order. Do you understand? I close my eyes. See the numbers again. 3,847 ppm. Sir, my mother is at Brookley Field. She's already consumed 10 gallons of this water today. She's showing symptoms. Pause. Longer than before. Joe, I'm sorry. I am, but that doesn't change the math. You halt distribution, hundreds die from dehydration and violence. You keep distribution running with advisories, maybe dozens get sick. Maybe some die, but hundreds of thousands stay hydrated and stable. You're a logistics officer. You know the math. The math says we're distributing poison. The math says we're distributing water with elevated salinity based on 1 unconfirmed test. Get me verification, Joe. 3 independent labs. Then we'll talk about recall procedures and alternative sourcing. Until then, the convoys roll. Are we clear? I open my eyes. Through the window, I can see Sergeant Pruitt standing by the lead truck. He's checking his watch, waiting for my order. Clear, sir. Brenneman hangs up. I stand there. The printed lab report is in my hand. The numbers don't change when I look at them again. Ortiz is still there. Sir, I have 12 minutes to decide. No, that's wrong. I don't get to decide. Brenneman gave me a direct order. The convoys roll. That's the decision. But I could ignore the order. I could walk out there right now and tell Pruitt to stand down. I could tell the drivers to offload the pallets. I could call every distribution site and issue an immediate stop order. And then what? Riots. Panic. People storming the depot. CNN filming guard troops holding back desperate civilians. Governor's office calling for my court-martial. FEMA pulling support. The entire hurricane response collapsing because one lieutenant colonel decided his single lab test was more important than the chain of command. My mother texted me at 15:47. Feeling better, actually. Drinking less. Resting. See you tonight? She's feeling better. Maybe the symptoms are resolving. Maybe her body is compensating. Maybe one more delivery won't kill her. Or maybe she's entering the advanced stage of hypernatremia and feeling better is actually her organs shutting down. I pull out my phone. Start typing a text to her. Do not drink the water. Contaminated. Wait for. I stop. If I send that, she'll tell everyone at Brookley Field. 2,000 people will panic. They'll break through the security cordon. They'll fight over the limited reserves. People will die. The elderly, the weak, the children. They'll die because I told them the truth. I delete the message. Type a new one. Evening delivery on schedule. Love you. My finger hovers over send. I'm thinking about July 2023. The Gulfport desalination plant processing seawater. Something goes wrong with the reverse osmosis membranes. Maybe they're damaged. Maybe they're worn out. Maybe someone bypassed them to meet production quotas. The water comes out with 3,847 ppm salinity instead of 200 ppm. Nobody notices because nobody tests it immediately. It goes into 5-gallon jugs, gets sealed, gets shipped to Montgomery warehouse, sits in climate-controlled storage for 13 months. August 19, 2024. Dale Henson inspects the batch. He's supposed to test multiple samples. But it's hot. He's behind schedule. He's been doing this job for 6 years and he's never found a contaminated batch. So maybe he tests 1 sample. Maybe he tests 0 samples. Maybe he just signs the certification form because that's what he's always done and the system has always worked. I'm thinking about the system where everyone follows procedure, where everyone trusts the certifications and the inspections and the labels, where water that says potable water, emergency use, inspected August 2024 is trusted absolutely because that's how systems work. the system that I've spent 23 years believing in. I hit send on the text to my mother. Then I walk outside. Pruitt sees me, straightens up. "Sir, we're ready to roll." I open my mouth. I'm gonna say stand down, offload the pallets. Distribution is canceled. But what comes out is, roll 'em out. Evening distribution as scheduled. Make sure the site commanders log consumption rates. 1 gallon per person maximum. Pruitt looks confused. 1 gallon? Sir, that's below minimum daily requirements in these heat conditions. I know. Just make sure they log it. He nods, climbs into the lead vehicle. The convoy starts moving. 6 trucks loaded with 22 pallets of water that contains 3,847 parts per million of salt. I stand there and watch them drive through the gate. Ortiz is next to me. "Sir, shouldn't we?" "No, but the lab results." "I heard you the first time, specialist. The convoys are rolling. That's the decision." He stares at me, then walks away. I go back to my office, sit down. The chair creaks. My phone rings. Unknown number. I answer. "Haverstick. Colonel, this is Captain Reeves, medical officer at Brookley Field. We've got a situation here. Multiple casualties. I'm requesting immediate medical evacuation for at least 15 people. Maybe more." My hands go cold. What's their status? Severe dehydration symptoms, but they're contradictory. High sodium levels in blood work, some of the worst I've ever seen. But they're drinking constantly, compulsively. We've got people drinking until they vomit, then drinking more. Some are seizing. 2 are in hypovolemic shock. And the bleeding, sir, the bleeding isn't stopping. Nosebleeds, mouth bleeding, some people are bleeding from their eyes. Subconjunctival hemorrhages. The capillaries in their eyes just rupturing. I've got one woman, elderly, maybe 75. Both eyes are completely red. No white left, just blood. She's still conscious, still drinking water, begging for more. Her lips are split open, white crust at the corners. I've never seen anything like this. It's like they're dehydrated and overhydrated at the same time. My throat feels tight. Where's the worst concentration of casualties? Which area of the shelter? Section C. That's the elderly housing area. We've got about 40 people showing symptoms there. Most are stable, but some are critical. Sir, we just had someone die. 71-year-old male. He was drinking from a jug when he collapsed. Started convulsing. Blood everywhere, from his nose, his mouth, his ears. His eyes were bleeding. We tried to stabilize him, but his kidneys failed. Just shut down completely. Took maybe 20 minutes from collapse to death. Colonel, what the hell is going on? Section C. That's where my mother is. I stand up. I'm sending medical supplies. Extra 4 fluids, electrolyte solution. It take 30 minutes. We need more than supplies, Colonel. We need answers. Is there something wrong with the water? I look at the lab report still sitting on my desk. Salinity, 3,847 parts per million. I don't know. I lie. We're investigating. Keep people hydrated. Limit water intake to 1 gallon per person. That's going to cause panic, sir. People are already fighting over. Screaming in the background. High-pitched. Sustained. The kind of scream that comes from real pain. Then shouting. Multiple voices. She's seizing. Get back. Her eyes. Oh God, her eyes. More screaming. Closer to the phone now. A woman's voice. I can't see. I can't see. It burns. Reeves, away from the phone. Hold her down. Get me the crash. Something metal hitting concrete. She's bleeding from her tear ducts. Get pressure on. The woman screaming. My eyes are bleeding. Help me, please. Reeves back on the phone, breathing hard. I have to go. Send those supplies. And Colonel, figure out what's wrong with the water. Fast. People are dying here. Not passing out. Dying. Their organs are failing in real time. I just watched a woman's kidneys shut down. She was pissing blood. Then nothing. Just nothing. 20 minutes. He hangs up. Through my office window, I see something that wasn't there an hour ago. 2 military vehicles pulling through the gate. Not guard trucks. These are different. Unmarked white vans with government plates. Behind them, a Humvee with CDC markings. Ortiz appears in my doorway. Sir, FEMA hazmat teams just arrived. They're setting up decontamination stations in the warehouse yard. They say they're here to assess contamination protocols for the water supply. They say why? No, sir. Just that they received orders from Region 4 to evaluate site safety procedures. He looks nervous. Sir, if they're setting up decon stations, that means they think something's contaminated. But we're still loading convoys for evening distribution. I watch through the window. Personnel in Level B hazmat suits, yellow suits, respirators, gloves, are climbing out of the vans, setting up equipment. One of them is scanning a water pallet with some kind of detector. Another is taking samples. They're not here to evaluate procedures. They're here because someone already knows the water is contaminated. And they sent them to my depot instead of to the distribution sites, instead of to Brookley Field where people are dying. I try calling my mother. It goes straight to voicemail. Battery dead, maybe. Or she's in the medical tent. Or she's one of the 15 people Captain Reeves wants to evacuate. I grab my keys. The keys to my personal vehicle, not a government truck. A 2015 Ford F-150 with 140,000 miles and a check engine light that's been on for 2 years. I'm driving to Brookley Field. I'm getting my mother out of there. One of the hazmat personnel walks past my window. Yellow suit, respirator, carrying a sealed container with a water sample. He's moving fast. They know. FEMA sent them here because they already know the water is contaminated. But they didn't send them to the distribution sites. They sent them to the depot, to assess, to evaluate, to document, not to warn people, not to stop distribution. My phone rings. Brenneman. I answer. Sir. Joe. I just got a flash report from Brookley Field. Multiple casualties. They're saying it looks like mass contamination event. What the hell happened? The water, sir. It's exactly what the lab results showed. Hypernatremia from elevated sodium. We need to recall every pallet immediately and… No, sir. People are dying. I heard the report. I also heard from 5 other distribution sites. They're fine. No casualties. No symptoms. Just Brookley Field. 1 site out of 6. I stop. What? Gulf State Park, Mobile Civic Center, Bayou La Battery Church, both high schools. All reporting normal operations. Some minor heat stress, nothing acute. Just Brookley Field having issues, which suggests a localized problem, not systemic contamination. That doesn't. The water all came from the same batch. Maybe Brookley Field received a different batch. Maybe their pallets were mislabeled. Maybe they've got a local environmental factor we're not seeing. But Joe, 5 out of 6 sites are fine. That's not a contamination pattern. I look at the manifest from this morning. Brookley Field received pallets 1 to 4 from batch MB 08-2024-7733. Gulf State Park received pallets 5 to 7. Mobile Civic Center received pallets 8 to 10. All the same batch, same warehouse, same delivery truck. But Pruitt said the crowd at Brookley was aggressive, desperate, different from his experience at other sites, different. And now Captain Reeves is reporting 15 critical casualties. All in Section C, the elderly housing area, where my mother is. Sir, I need to go to Brookley Field. Right now. Negative. You're the battalion commander. You stay at the depot and coordinate. I'm sending a FEMA medical team to Brookley. They'll handle the evacuation. You focus on securing the supply chain and getting me those additional lab results. FEMA already sent hazmat teams to my depot. They're in the warehouse right now testing water samples. Yellow suits, respirators, decon stations. They know something, sir. They sent containment teams to assess the water but not to warn the distribution sites. Silence. Then, the hazmat teams are there for precautionary assessment, Joe. Standard protocol when you have medical anomalies during disaster response. It doesn't mean. It means they know the water is contaminated and they're documenting it instead of stopping it. Sir, my mother is at Brookley Field. Silence. Then, I know, Joe. I know. But you're not going to help her by abandoning your post. Trust the medical team. Trust the system. Do your job. He hangs up. Trust the system. I stand there in my office. Through the window, I can see the warehouse. Empty spaces where the pallets used to be. 22 pallets. 5,280 gallons. Gone. The evening convoy is somewhere on Highway 90 right now. 30 minutes from Brookley Field. 30 minutes from delivering more water to people who are bleeding from their eyes. To people whose kidneys are crystallizing with salt. To people who are dying in 20-minute spans from organ failure. To Section C, where my mother is. I should call them back. I should order them to return to depot. My phone buzzes. Text message. Unknown number. The message says, Josephine Haverstick admitted to Mobile Regional Hospital. Critical condition. Hypernatremic crisis. Multiple organ involvement. Section C evacuation. Family notification required. I read it 3 times. Josephine, my mother. Critical condition. Multiple organ involvement. I'm still holding my keys. I walk out of the office. Ortiz sees me. Sir, where are you? I'm going to the hospital. You're in command. When the convoys get back, quarantine all remaining water pallets. Nobody distributes anything until we have 3 independent lab confirmations. Clear? Sir, Colonel Brenneman said. I don't care what Colonel Brenneman said. Quarantine the water. That's an order. I get in my truck. Start driving. Mobile Regional Hospital is 40 minutes away. My mother is there. Critical condition. Multiple organ involvement. Her kidneys are crystallizing with salt. Her blood vessels are rupturing. Her organs are shutting down. Because I sent her water with 3,847 parts per million of salt. Because I followed procedure. Because I trusted the system. Because when I had 12 minutes to decide, I chose to follow orders instead of following the lab results. I chose wrong, and people are dying. People are bleeding from their eyes and seizing until their spines crack and pissing blood until their kidneys fail completely. And my mother is one of them. My mother died at 2,247 on September 18th. Hypernatremic crisis. Multiple organ failure. Vascular rupture. She drank 14 gallons of water between 0830 and 1800. Trying to stop being thirsty. The more she drank, the thirstier she got. The salt in the water pulled fluid from her cells, concentrated her blood, crystallized in her kidneys. Her sodium levels were 189 milliequivalents per liter when they admitted her. Normal is 135 to 145. Anything above 160 is critical. She was conscious when I got to the hospital. Barely. Recognized me. Her eyes were bloodshot, completely red. The whites were gone, just hemorrhaged vessels covering everything. Her lips were cracked open, bleeding. White salt crust at the corners of her mouth. Her skin was paper dry, hot to touch. When I held her hand, I could feel how thin the skin was, like it might tear. Joey, I drank the water like you said. Did I do it wrong? No, Mom. You did it right. You trusted me. That's what killed you. I didn't say that. I held her hand, carefully, like holding something that might break. She tried to talk more, but her voice was gone. Just a rasp. Her tongue was swollen, cracked. I could see blood on her teeth. The doctor told me her kidneys had shut down completely. Crystallized. That's the word he used. The salt had crystallized in her renal tubules. Her blood pressure was through the roof from the sodium load. Her heart was working overtime trying to pump blood that was too thick. Her brain was swelling from the electrolyte imbalance. She died 6 hours later, not peacefully. The seizures started around 2100. Her whole body convulsing, blood coming from her nose, from her mouth where she bit through her tongue, from her eyes, tears of blood running down her face. The nurses tried to restrain her, but she was strong in that moment. Inhuman strength. Her back arched. I heard something crack. A rib, maybe. Then she went still. Just stopped. Her eyes were open, still bleeding, still completely red, looking at nothing. 47 other people from Brooklyn Field died that night. Another 33 died over the next week. 80 deaths total from Section C alone. Other sites had casualties too, but not like Brooklyn. Something about the elderly population, the concentration of people with high blood pressure and kidney issues, the way they consumed more water because they were more vulnerable to heat. Or maybe Brooklyn just got the worst pallets, the ones where the salt concentration was highest. We'll never know because by the time anyone thought to test individual pallets instead of batch samples, everything had been consumed or destroyed. The hazmat teams arrived at Brooklyn Field at 0400 on September 19th. 12 hours after my mother was admitted to the hospital. 6 hours after she died. They sealed Section C. Yellow tape. Decontamination protocols. Personnel in level-A suits, full encapsulation, self-contained breathing apparatus, going through the shelter collecting water samples, testing surfaces, documenting everything. Documenting, not warning, not evacuating earlier. By the time they got there, most of Section C was already at the hospital or dead. I saw the hazmat team photos in the investigation report. They found bodies. 17 people who died before evacuation could reach them. The photos showed them where they fell. Some collapsed near the water distribution point. Empty jugs clutched in their hands. Lips cracked white. Blood dried on their faces. From their noses, their mouths, their eyes. One photo showed an elderly man, maybe 80, face down on the concrete floor. Pool of blood around his head. The report said he'd seized so violently he fractured his own skull on the floor. Another photo. A woman in her 70s, sitting upright against the wall. Eyes open, completely red. No whites visible. The salt crust around her mouth was so thick it looked like she'd been eating chalk. Her fingers were still wrapped around an empty water jug. She died drinking. They all died drinking, trusting the water we sent them. The official investigation took 4 months. Findings. The Gulfport desalination plant suffered cascade membrane failure in July 2023 due to improper maintenance. Staff bypassed quality controls to meet production quotas. Water with salinity levels between 3,200 and 4,100 ppm was bottled and certified as potable. Montgomery Depot inspection in August 2024 was conducted using paperwork review only, no physical testing. Inspector Dale Henson admitted he hadn't actually tested a sample in 18 months. Just signed the forms. Trusted the system. 11 people were charged. Henson, 3 plant supervisors, 2 FEMA contractors, 5 National Guard logistics officers. Not me, though. I followed orders. Colonel Brenneman gave me a direct order to keep distribution running, and I followed it. That's what the investigation determined. I expressed concerns, requested additional testing, operated within my authority. The decision to continue distribution was made above my pay grade. Colonel Brenneman retired quietly. Medical discharge. Stress-related. The governor gave him a commendation for his hurricane response coordination. I'm still here, still a lieutenant colonel, still running logistics for the 143rd Sustainment Brigade. They offered me a promotion, full bird colonel. After the investigation cleared me, they said my handling of the crisis showed leadership under pressure, decisive action, following the chain of command. I turned it down. I don't sleep in my office anymore. I sleep at my apartment in Tuscaloosa. When I sleep, most nights I'm awake, staring at the ceiling, doing the math. If I'd halted distribution at 16:30, would my mother still be alive? Maybe, probably. She'd consumed 10 gallons by then, still survivable with medical intervention. But 47 other people had already consumed lethal amounts. They'd be dead anyway. If I'd halted distribution, would more people have died from riots and dehydration than died from the water? I don't know. Brenneman's math made sense. Hundreds versus dozens. But we'll never know because I didn't halt distribution. The convoys rolled. The water got delivered. 80 people died at Brooklyn Field, plus another 43 at other sites. 123 total confirmed deaths from Batch MB 08-2024 7733. Small number compared to 600,000 people served. Less than 0.02% mortality rate. Statistically insignificant on a spreadsheet. My mother is a decimal point in a final report. I still do the job. Food, water, fuel, medical supplies. Hurricane season this year was quiet. Tropical storm Helena in August, but it stayed offshore. We did some prepositioning, moved some pallets around. Nothing major. Every water pallet that comes through now gets tested. 3 independent labs. Chain of custody documentation. Physical inspection. We test samples from individual containers, not just batches. The new protocols add 48 hours to distribution timelines. During an emergency, that 48 hours could kill people from dehydration. But we follow the protocols. I don't trust labels anymore. Potable water emergency use, inspected. Those words don't mean anything. They're just ink on plastic. Someone certified that water was safe, and that someone either lied or didn't check or made a mistake. And my mother died believing I was sending her help. I got a letter from Colonel Brenneman 3 months after he retired. Handwritten. Said he was sorry about my mother. Said he understood I might blame him for the order to continue distribution. Said he made the best decision he could with the information available. Said command means making choices where people die either way, and the job is to minimize the death count, not eliminate it. He's right. I hate that he's right. I burned the letter. Specialist Ortiz requested transfer to another unit. Got it. He's with the 135th Sustainment now, doing the same job 200 miles away. I see him sometimes at logistics conferences. He doesn't make eye contact. Sergeant Pruitt finished his hurricane response deployment and went back to active duty. Last I heard, he's at Fort Bragg. We don't talk. The Brookley Field Shelter closed in November. Everyone was relocated. The hangar sits empty now. I drove past it last month on my way to Mobile for a training exercise. Tried not to look. Looked anyway. Big empty building with weeds growing through the parking lot. Yellow hazmat tape still fluttering from the Section C entrance. Faded now. Nobody bothered to take it down. Section C. That's where my mother died. Trusting the water I sent her. The decontamination took 3 weeks. Hazmat teams in full suits going through every inch of the shelter. They found salt residue everywhere. On surfaces, in the air filtration system, crystallized in the water distribution lines. The elderly in Section C had been living in a hypersaline environment, drinking contaminated water, breathing salt-saturated air. Their bodies never had a chance. The hazmat report documented it all. The salt concentration in the air, the residue on the walls, crystallized sweat from people who were dying from dehydration while surrounded by water. They found blood spatter on the concrete floor where people had seized, on the walls where nosebleeds had sprayed, in the medical tent where 17 people had died before evacuation arrived. They found empty water jugs, hundreds of them, some with blood on the rims where people had split their lips drinking, some with white salt crust inside, concentrated residue from the contaminated water, some still clutched in the hands of corpses. The hazmat teams documented it all, took samples, filed reports, 3 weeks of documentation. They could have sealed it on September 18th when I reported the lab results. They could have evacuated Section C. They could have saved my mother. They didn't. I still have her last text on my phone. Drinking less. Resting. See you tonight? I never deleted it. Sometimes I read it. 15:47 on September 18th. 3 hours before the evening convoy arrived. 4.5 hours before she was admitted to the hospital. 7 hours before she died. She asked if she'd see me that night. No, Mom, you won't, because I'm at the depot signing manifests and following orders and trusting the system while you're drinking water with 3,847 parts per million of salt. I keep doing the job because that's what I do. 24 years now. 1 more year and I can retire at 25. Get my pension. Move somewhere that doesn't have hurricanes or guard depots or 5-gallon water jugs with NSN numbers stamped on the caps. But I'll still know the math. 123 deaths. Batch MB, 08-2024-7733. Inspected August 2024. My mother. Decimal point number 1. I certified the distribution. I signed the manifests. I followed orders. I killed her with paperwork and procedure and trust in a system that failed 13 months before I ever saw the water. The labels said potable water, emergency use, inspected, and I believed them. And my mother died bleeding from her eyes, seizing until her ribs cracked, her kidneys crystallized with salt, her brain swelling from electrolyte poisoning, asking me if she did it wrong. She didn't do it wrong. I did. People ask me sometimes, other officers, if I do anything differently. If I had those 12 minutes back at 1618 on September 18th, knowing what I know now. I tell them I don't know. That's a lie. I'd halt the convoys. I'd recall every pallet. I'd issue warnings and deal with the riots and face the court-martial and lose my career and accept that hundreds might die from dehydration and panic. Because 123 people died anyway, and one of them was my mother, and I sent her that water. I signed the manifest. I followed the orders. I trusted the system. I made the logical choice. The math was right. The math killed her. I still do the job. Food, water, fuel, medical supplies. The system runs. The spreadsheets balance. The convoys roll. And every time I sign a manifest, I see my mother's face. Eyes completely red. Blood running down her cheeks like tears. Lips cracked white with salt. Asking me if she did it wrong. Every time someone tells me to trust the certification, I taste salt water. Every time a convoy rolls out through the gate, I'm standing at my office window at 16:30 on September 18th, watching 22 pallets of poison drive away because I chose to follow orders instead of lab results. I chose the system over my mother. I chose wrong, and she died believing I was helping her. Died bleeding, died seizing, died with her organs crystallizing, died in 6 hours of agony that I could have prevented with one phone call. That's what I think about at 0230, at 0340, at 0420, every night, for the rest of my life.